So I send in my 70-200G Master in for repair to Pro Support. I share my story with you in this video. Stay tuned. Hey, what's going on everybody? It's That One Camera Guy back at again with another video for you. This is a story time video where I just share my experience of sending in my 70-200 in for repair and the process that it went through. Now, I'm not going to tell you whether you should get Pro Support or not. I'm going to save that for another video because I'm trying to save some content because that's something I really struggle with on this YouTube platform. So let me just go ahead and jump into this. Around 2017, 2018, I don't even know anymore, I actually initially damaged my 70-200. And this happened when I had it inside of a Peak Design bag. So I had it attached to a camera body, and if you can visualize a Peak Design bag, it has these different sections. There's a bottom, middle, and a top section which has the most space. I think I had this in the middle section. I was taking photos for softball, was getting ready to get my camera out of the bag. I was struggling to get the lens and the body out, and I was like, why is it struggle? Why am I struggling with this? All of a sudden I pull this and boom! I hear a snap, crackle, and pop, quite literally, and I noticed that the hood was not with the lens when I took it out. And then I find out later that when I was reattaching it later, it sort of didn't fit well. Like, it didn't sit well correctly. It still stayed on there, so I never really addressed it as a problem, and I just sucked it up and said, you know what, this is just a badge of courage kind of deal. It just comes with the territory, that sort of idea. And then come around 2018 or so, I think at some point I dropped my 70-200. It was in, again, Peak Design bag, and it was probably on the bottom section. I don't know when, but just again, imagine this is at the bottom section of the Peak Design bag, and I think it just fell. Like, it just fell down, and it just, boom, you know, I got some physical damage to it. So if you can see here, there's two seams, this section and this section, and what physically happened was that I could actually separate these. So if I wiggle this seam would separate. I could actually open it up slightly, and yeah, it would be compromising weather sealing, whatever, but it definitely caused a problem because in 2018, I was noticing things like the autofocusing was making a noise, it sounded very strange, autofocus didn't work as well as a native lens should have. And talking about video autofocus, photo-wise, it was still doing pretty good. But when it came to the actual image quality, I noticed that the quality just wasn't there. I don't know what it was, but it was lacking that sharpness that I was used to. And then I was shooting a rose pageant, and it was still experiencing these issues in video, and I said, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and get this thing addressed, and that's what I did. So in September, let me go ahead and find my notes right here, folks. So I went ahead and started the process of sending it into Sony Pro Support. I sent an email Sunday, September 15, 2019 at 8:31 a.m. and I said, hey, there's something wrong with my lens. Can you guys check it out? In 1 hour, I got a reply, asked for setting up a work order, and then giving me a shipping label to send it in. So I send it in on Monday, and then I get an email Wednesday letting them know in the afternoon that they have received my lens and it's under assessment. And then on Friday of that week, I get an email, and I think I got a phone call too. So what ends up happening is they sent me an email in the morning, and they said, hey, this is what happened with your lens. Here's what's wrong with it. So they list these three things: the assembly damage, the filter frame, and some sort of optical group element had problems and they need to be replaced. And they also included the price of the entire service. So that was fun. And they told me to call them to let them know about getting the service started. So for whatever reason, I couldn't hit reply and say, hey, can you start the service? They wanted me to call them. So I went and called them. And when I called them, I let them know, hey, let's just do this and get the lens repaired because I really needed the 70-200 and I wanted to take care of it, get it fixed because it's a great lens. For those of you that own the lens, you know it's a stellar lens, and I really wanted it to be in good working order. So I'll tell you the final price at the end of the story here. Then the following week rolls around. It's Monday now. We're into the second week. They tell me the lens has been moved in for repair, and this is being done by Precision Camera. The following day, they tell me, this is a Tuesday, that they have ordered the parts that they need for repair. And at this point, they tell me, hey, if you really want to loan a lens, please go ahead and request one so that you can get a loaner for yourself. Because at this point, I don't know how long it's going to take to do the repair and when I would get my lens back. And I would like to have a 70-200. I had a football game coming up, and I had homecoming coming up the next week. So having an actual lens 2.8, 70-200 would be ideal. So Wednesday rolls around and they tell me they finally got the parts and the repair process was in progress. And it was at this point that I said, you know what, I should probably put in a request for a repair loaner. Now, for those of you that don't know, when you have pro support, you can typically just ask for a loaner camera or lens. The way this works is that you do it through pro support. You fill out a form, you got to give them a 3-week lead time at this point, and that lets them know, hey, that one camera guy wants to borrow an A7R4, and then in 3 weeks they'll get it to me. But if for some reason my lens was damaged, they're not just gonna willy-nilly send me a new lens to use for the time being while it's getting repaired. They have to assess the damage still, which I will talk about in a different video. So the funny thing is, so I put in the request. I think they called me because they wanted to verify something. Then I asked, like, you know, hey, is it possible for you to get the lens to me tomorrow? You know, I'm just throwing that out there. And they said, yeah, for sure. Just update the form and fill it out by 10 a.m. and let me know and send it in, and we will overnight the lens to you. And I was like, heck yeah. Finally, I can have a 70-200 f2.8. Again, football game, homecoming stuff coming around. Be nice to have. So, funny thing here happens. The same day, in the afternoon, Precision Camera calls me. I don't know who's calling me, but I just go and pick up the phone thinking it's something from Sony, and they tell me, hey, that one camera guy, we're just letting you know, you probably don't need to get a loaner. We're already getting your lens repaired, and you get it back in no time. And in my head, I'm just like, how did you know I was putting in a request for a loaner? I'm assuming it's all in their system or what have you. But I was like, well, I need the lens by Thursday or Friday if you want me to just to get rid of the other loan that I had going on. And they said, well, we'll try to escalate it and get it going faster for you so we can get the repair done and get the lens back to you. I was like, that's great and all, but I wasn't going to end my my loan request from Sony. I was still going to take the 70-200 no matter what. So I guess that's what happened. It was really awkward, and then we just hung up. So that happened. That was the only time that it seemed really strange why they would be telling me to cancel something that I had already initiated. On this form here that I got back, it tells me that the lens was actually was completed on Friday. So that week, Friday, it was done being repaired. So they did escalate. I guess they sped it up. And then I got the lens back on Monday. It was delivered to me on Monday, and the lens came back in immaculate condition. It was clean. The internals, there was no dust. They even fixed the grips here. They even fixed the rubber parts on here, the zoom ring and the focus ring. They were all good in good working order because they were fading out and they were getting loose a little bit. They fixed the filter frame assembly. There was no more loose area in the little the seam that I was talking about. You couldn't even do that. The focusing was all good, especially for video. Autofocusing was silent again. Focusing was great. And then I even went ahead and tested out the camera later on, and it is sharp. It is great. Now on the form, it actually told me what they did to it. They did all the fixing of, they replaced the filter frame, the linkage base, and the 8th optical group. And then they even did some firmware stuff, some calibration, some adjustments, all that good stuff. And the lens came back even better. I think, to be honest with you, it feels like it's sharper than it was in the past, but it just could be my brain playing tricks on me. The funny thing is, my brother did get a 70-200, a brand new one recently, so I may want to go ahead and test it because there is lens variation that exists, and I wonder the fact that Precision Camera looked at it and did some calibration, that's probably sharper now than maybe one you would buy from the store. So I'd be very curious to see how that goes. The total cost was $779.99. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting a high number, but man, that is a lot of money. So, but then again, the lens is like $2,600 US, and you're paying about a third of the price for the repair. And so, I mean, I figured it just comes with the territory. Obviously, if you run and operate a business, you shoot professionally. These are just normal things that happen. You include it in terms of like your business costs, expenses, and all that good stuff. Those folks, you guys know what I mean. But anyway, as far as my experience in this entire process, I actually I enjoyed it. I thought everything was handled really well. I was informed throughout the process. The only time it was iffy was when Precision Camera called me directly. That was the only time it was very sketchy. But they got the lens back to me within 2 weeks, which was pretty good. And I still had the loaner lens out for 2 weeks. So I had two 70-200s for a little while, which, you know, not gonna lie, it's pretty nice. And the thing is, for a lot of you out there, I know you're thinking like, should I get pro support or not? And I am going to answer that in a separate video, but just hang tight for that one. But overall, apparently for the discount that I got, there's a discount as a pro support member, I got 20% off. So they covered my shipping back and forth, and I got a 20% discount off the total price. So I definitely saved a lot of money. And for those of you that don't know, pro support costs $100 a year, and I for sure got more than $100 worth of pro support luxury just in this entire situation. Yes, it did cost quite a bit of money to repair, but hey, it's cheaper than buying a completely new 70-200 in that particular system. So that's my experience. I do want to ask what your experience has been if you have had used pro support, and the reason why I ask is that I don't know if I got special treatment because I'm that one camera guy. In the past, back in 2017, I felt like I did get some sort of special treatment from pro support, but I'll go into that in that other video. But let me know your thoughts down below, what your experience has been, or maybe what things that you've heard. I'm not saying pro support's perfect, and I'm not saying it's for everybody. If there's some stuff that's going down, let me know in the comments down below. They should have been trying to improve their service over time, but for me personally, my experience was actually pretty good. That's going to do it for me in this video. Don't forget to smash that like button, get subscribed, and don't forget to stay tuned for that other video about whether or not you should get pro support and if it's worth it. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.